On a moonless night above the nation's capital, one CRJ-700 extended-range commercial jetliner, American Airlines Flight 5342, carrying a crew of 4, including 2 cockpit crew members and 60 passengers from Wichita, Kansas, was inbound to Ronald Reagan National Airport and had cleared for the Mount Vernon Visual Runway 1 along the Potomac River, the longest runway at the nation's 21st busiest airport, when at 8:39 p.m., for still unknown reasons, it had been redirected by the tower and the CRJ entered a right turn off the runway 1 localizer towards Maryland to prepare for an approach on runway 33. Less than 20 minutes later, this seemingly minor change for inbound travel would alter the fate of those passengers and crew. Tragically, on January 29th, while the CRJ-700 was being redirected, a U.S. Army UH-60 Black Hawk with only a crew of 3, including a pilot and an instructor, but short one additional crew member in the aft to provide full 360-degree field of observation, and conducting a training flight for a continuity of government mission, was nearly simultaneously requesting approval for travel on helicopter Route 1 along the Anacostia River to Route 4 along the Potomac, en route from an unknown destination to Davison Army Airfield, its home base at Fort Belvoir, approximately 15 miles south of Reagan National Airport. Just a visualization of the flight paths upon which these 2 aircraft were headed makes it abundantly clear that both aircraft were on a trajectory to cross a very dangerous junction just south of Haines Point above the Potomac River, and the question now turns to investigators and leaders to determine what risk mitigation and prevention measures had been established before this had occurred to avert what had become the nation's deadliest aviation accident since 2009. Recently, Senator Tim Kaine, a ranking member on the Armed Services Committee, and Bradley Bowman, a former Black Hawk pilot and previous commander in the 12th Aviation Battalion out of Fort Belvoir, Virginia, the same unit involved in last month's crash, has joined my early calls to government officials to make a very simple change that would have averted this disaster. Switch the times when these helicopters fly to avoid planes coming in or taking off. It's a no-brainer and common sense that should have been done long before now. Yet on that fated night, at 8:33 p.m., the CRJ had been cleared by air traffic control, and around 8:38 p.m., just 5 minutes later, the Black Hawk had reached the intersection of the D.C. Beltway and the Potomac River, and investigators continue to search for clues as to what had occurred at the point of collision, where both aircraft are higher in altitude than they had been advised by the FAA charts when approaching this critical junction. While one, the Black Hawk, appears to be proceeding with limited visibility at full throttle, while the other, the commercial liner, at the time of collision is moving far too slow while attempting to raise pitch without application of compensating throttle and thrust, which on this particular aircraft, vulnerable to deep stall characteristics, would only have served to reduce the airspeed and precipitate a fall for an aircraft already below 400 feet. Like a Keanu Reeves move in The Matrix, over the freezing river in dark waters, just short of the touchdown point on the runway 33. Why is the question now for investigators. Why? Why? This message was approved by Major Mike Webb. Honest.